So, as it's our 10th year anniversary, I thought we'd look back at 10 years ago and see what was coming out in the cinema. And
So 10 years ago was 1996, right?
yeah, 1996, yeah. But yeah, so looking at the stuff that came out in 2016, but I thought we'd do a bit on films, a bit on video games, and probably next issue look back to some of the comics and TV highlights of 2016. So we picked 3 films, and the common thread is they're all now on Disney+. Which is... Remember when we used to have separate media companies? There was more than 2 or 3, but yes, so we thought we'd pick out 3 films, and I'm going to hand over to Sam, and Sam's going to lead on this a little bit, because we're talking about 3 films which are now streaming on Disney+, if you want to watch them.
Yes, so to start with, I think we're going with Rogue One, which was directed by Gareth Edwards, starring Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, Alan Tudyk, who has since become a bit of a kind of Disney stalwart, but we'll come to that in a bit. Forrest Whitaker, Mads Mikkelsen, and a host of other people. So it's a Star Wars film based on the opening crawl from the first Star Wars movie, and the fact that the rebels had won their first victory and stolen the plans for the Death Star. So really brief couple of lines in the first Star Wars film has spawned Rogue One, which was intended to be the first of several standalone Star Wars films. The next one being Solo, a Star Wars story, which then didn't do as well as they'd hoped, and that kind of put the kibosh on that whole plan a little bit. It's also, I believe, the first live-action Star Wars film to feature characters that were introduced in the animated TV shows. So you've got Forrest Whitaker playing Saw Gerrera. Mm-hmm. And it did forge a bit of a legacy of its own in that it had its own spin-off in the form of Andor, which is probably the best Star Wars thing since the first Star Wars trilogy. And it had a couple of Oscar nominations as well, both in the technical categories. Mm-hmm. So yeah. What
I mean, it was Gareth Edwards' kind of big breakout movie. So he'd done Monsters before, and something else.
We've done Godzilla.
Just done Godzilla, yeah. So the big Godzilla that came out previously. But this was like his big movie, big tentpole movie. They said it was the first anthology movie. And yeah, I mean, it was very weird in the fact that everybody dies at the end. Spoiler, sorry, by the way. If you've not seen it, you've had 10 years. That's what I'm going to say. But the whole premise of the movie is nobody else gets out, really, apart from the plans. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's probably the best thing since Disney's taken over Star Wars, apart from Andor, film-wise.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I do love that whole... I know everyone does die, but there's a sort of... There's a few films that are based around rebellions where they really kind of need to capture the desperation of what they're trying to do as this kind of smaller, weaker force against a huge power. And I thought that works really well, where they almost kind of do their one bit, and then that's their kind of heroic sacrifice to ultimately achieve one goal. One of the Hunger Games films, I thought, did that quite well as well. There's a bit where they're going to blow up a dam, and you really kind of feel the desperation of it. So yeah, I did think as a kind of plot device, it introduced these characters, it made you care about them, and then it gave them their moment to kind of shine in the spotlight and before they sacrifice themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it still has very many parallels to current political situations around the world about resistance and hope and overcoming what could be overwhelming odds and things like that. And I think, yeah, it was beautifully captured. I mean, special shout out to Tony Gilroy, who was one of the writers on it, and then has pretty much taken on and done Andor. I think he was involved in quite a few of the reshoots towards the end. I think Gareth says it's pretty much a collaborative project now. He did do most of the direction, but I think there was quite a significant amount of reshoots towards the end of it, which Gareth might not have been as involved in.
It was one of those ones where the trailers featured a lot of sequences that didn't end up in the final cut. But I think they reworked it for the better.
Yeah.
Really in the way that film. Also, it features possibly the best space battle in Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Yes. The battle over
the attack over Scarif is fantastic. The fact that they made what was CGI models look like physical models. You know, when you see the Star Destroyers coming out of the shadow of the Death Star and stuff, and it's like, it just looks so fantastic. And the way they rework in bits from the original trilogy. So you have characters you later then see in the Battle of Yavin as part of the attack squadrons going on at Scarif. It's just wonderful. It's the best.
Well, it explains the disappearance of Blue Squadron at Yavin, doesn't it? Because
and Michael Giacchino does a fantastic job. Kind of as the kind of first non-John Williamsy score for a Star Wars movie, and it's just magnificent. Really, kind of gets it.
It says something, I think, as well, that what you've just described as the best space battle in Star Wars is kind of the B plot of the film. It also has, I think, towards the end, the best Darth Vader fight scene.
Yes.
Him in the corridor really kind of showing what he can do as an evil force wielder.
Which is interesting because the guy who plays Darth Vader in that sequence, Dave of Geeky Brummie, George's partner, knows the actor that played Darth Vader, whose name I can't remember at the moment, so I apologise. Sorry.
I thought for a second you were going to say Dave plays Darth Vader.
How did I not know that? So tenuously, we have a link with,
why are we not
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader has been played by English people before was the body. But yeah, I mean, special shout out to Ben Mendelsohn. He's probably a lot of people's introduction to Ben Mendelsohn as an actor. He'd been in quite a lot of stuff before it, but his role as director Krennic is one of the most believable and nasty people that you see in the Empire. He's like fully on, like, this is what you expect the Empire to be. This man is fully in the machinations, and he's there empire building for himself inside. He's one of those people who wants to be credited. He wants to be shown he's the person behind it, and none of that actually comes into Star Wars because it's all about Grand Moff Tarkin, and you see this whole climb for power and him grasping, and then the decline afterwards, where he's not even mentioned. Which he wouldn't be, but in the universe it works really well. Yeah. And I think he's just a brilliant characterization of what the Empire is at that point. Of it's just people grasping and trying to cut their own small area out of it, and their own stake in this giant thing. It's all about that, and it comes so much great, as I said, mentioned in Andor, to a head when you have that final scene of him at the ISB interrogating, and they all know that's him running off to Scarif then to try and stop it going on, because we know the plans are being stolen. But it's that whole building just makes it such a great thing. And I think Andor and this is now a companion piece. You could probably watch season 2 of Andor, the final 2 episodes, and then jump straight into Rogue One, and it's just a nice big 4-hour long movie basically.
I think I pretty much did do that when Andor finished, and it felt weird because the pacing of at the beginning of Rogue One just feels so quick compared to the build-up you've just had from Andor. But yeah, it absolutely works.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and as I said, it introduces quite a few characters. So we see, I think Chopper pops up from Rebels, if you've seen him. He runs around Yavin 4. You hear Captain Syndulla over the microphone, again back to Rebels, and then he's mentioned Saw Gerrera from Clone Wars. So it really helped integrate what had been quite disparate parts of the animated universe and the live-action Star Wars universe together. Yeah, so I think if you've not watched it yet, you are missing out on some of the best new Star Wars.
Yeah, and if you've not watched it yet, watch Andor and then watch Rogue One.
Yes.
Just to really fully appreciate it.
Not the other way around, watch Andor and then Rogue One, yeah. So next film?
So next up we've got Deadpool, directed by Tim Miller and starring, of course, Ryan Reynolds, plus Morena Baccarin, Ed Skrein, TJ Miller, Gina Carano, and Brianna Hildebrand. So this was, obviously, Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool in Wolverine, which is another one where...
Nobody talks about X-Men Origins.
they planned to do the anthology thing and it didn't quite work out for as long as they thought.
That movie doesn't exist.
But he was actually well received enough within Wolverine for Fox to greenlight Deadpool fairly early on, but it then fell into development hell for a number of reasons.
I think Ryan Reynolds' turn as the Green Lantern didn't help his superhero reputation at that point.
No, and also the fact that they were very keen to have Deadpool as an R-rated film, as it should be based on how graphic the comic book can be, which Fox wasn't particularly comfortable with until they finally gave them just enough money to do some test footage, which It was all done in CGI, but Ryan Reynolds voiced Deadpool. Fox still weren't quite comfortable at that point, but then it got leaked.
Somehow.
Mysteriously.
Mysteriously, just before Comic-Con, I believe.
Ryan Reynolds knows nothing about it.
Absolutely not. But the public absolutely went mad for it as soon as it came out, and that was what finally persuaded Fox to let them make the film in the way they wanted. And it was phenomenally successful. It was the most successful R-rated movie up to that point. Paved the way for things like Logan, which came shortly afterwards, and obviously spawned a couple of sequels. So you had Deadpool 2 in 2018 and Deadpool and Logan in 2024, which ultimately kind of closed the book on the Fox Marvel kind of franchise. So yeah, what do we think of Deadpool?
Yeah, I mean, there's 78 award nominations, 29 wins. It won Best Movie at the Critics' Choice Awards, the Golden Globes, the MTV Movie Awards, People's Choice Awards, Tina Choice Awards, and the Empire Magazine Awards. So I think most people liked it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I appreciate Lee is not a fan of superheroes. And
Lee's watched it more than anybody.
Fourth wall breaking superheroes, probably even like that's the worst thing for you, I suppose.
Well, it's also just like I cannot stand the humor of Deadpool, like because like the VR game came out like a few months back, and like just watching the trailer for that, I was like, why do people like this?
Well, it comes back from the character itself. It started off 1991, Rob Liefeld, Fabian Nicasio, if I get his name right.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah, so he started off in Marvel Comics in 1991 as a spin-off of X-Men. I think he started off as an X-Men.
He appeared as a henchman to a character called Gideon in New Mutants 98. So he wasn't really a fully rounded character at that point. And Gideon, who was supposed to be the big kind of like
Big bad
villain, disappeared, and then Deadpool developed over years and kind of just... got given various bits of
Problem
abilities.
is when you say Gideon in the context of comics, I'm just thinking of Scott Pilgrim.
Kind of essentially the same character, really.
Well, he gathers seven
evil X's. Yeah.
But yeah, so the concept was Merc with a mouth. He had none of the fourth wall breaking stuff to
No,
start
he was
off
just
with.
he was just a geezer with swords and stuff, and who just took out people. He was a kind of an assassin.
Almost a pastiche of Deathstroke who was a Teen Titans villain.
I don't think Rob Liefeld and Fabian had any kind of ties to
Inspiration.
Deathstroke.
No inspiration at all.
Total coincidence. The characters looked almost exactly the same and used the same weapon set and had the same thing. Total coincidence.
As a sort of side note, like while we're sort of on this of similar characters, it has reminded me of the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in the intro they put him up against Dante from Devil May Cry, and I'm like, that is kind of the perfect pairing.
The quippy boys together.
Yeah. And both with swords and guns.
Yep.
It's...
But I think watching it back now, I mean, it was made on a smallish budget. It would say a medium-sized budget, about $58 million.
For a superhero movie at the time, yeah.
And then it made about $800 million, I think, back. So it did really well, considering. And I think, Fox would never have taken that risk unless that trailer got released. But I think it was Ryan Reynolds was so impassioned about playing that character.
I think early on in his comic run, Deadpool gets compared to Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
And that seemed to have sparked it off.
It also has quite cool post-credits sequences as well, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
Particularly mentioning the fact that he goes back and deals with the version of himself in Wolverine Origins.
Yes.
Nods to Green Lantern being a flop as well, I believe.
But I think it was a big demonstration of, superhero movies don't need a cast of thousands. It's a very small cast if you think about it. So you think, we got, as you mentioned, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. The only real crossover you get is Cyclops. Colossus and what's his face?
Negasonic
Teenage Warhead. Because
it's nice to see Colossus get a proper character because he's very underserved in the main X-Men films, I think, and I do quite like him. Yeah,
and I think it's quite hilarious how they take the mick out of that, and it's like we can only afford 2 X-Men to appear in this film.
Yes,
it's like it's incredibly self-referential, and unfortunately, this Deadpool 2 isn't a patch on the first one. I don't think.
I don't know. There's elements of it that I think are fantastic. It does a great reference to the main X-Men films.
Yes,
Just close the doors.
Yeah.
I think Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 3 are much better than Deadpool 2, personally.
Oh, well, I'm not quite sure I'm 100% on that.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure I agree. I really loved it.
I mean,
The introduction of Cable is fantastic.
And
Just
Dominic.
Brolin, double timing on his Marvel characters.
I mean, Deadpool 2 does have the world's best cameo of Brad Pitt
Yes.
as well, as somebody who's completely invisible for most of the film, and then just, yeah.
I love Domino in Deadpool 2 as well. It's like, that superpower's not very cinematic. It just has like the most
The whole
awesome
X-Force
sequence.
thing is pretty cool in Deadpool 2. I would kind of really like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I just have a soft spot for the first one. I think it was made with more heart, if I put it there.
It's crasser. That's all it is.
Cool. So coming on to our third film, and we move on to something more of the animated genre.
Yes, so more sort of classic, what people think of as Disney. We had Zootropolis, or Zootopia to give it its proper American name. But
It's weird that we changed it.
it's because there's a zoo in Europe that is called Zootopia.
Everybody has to explain that because nobody's ever heard of it. So it's like we changed the name to avoid it being confused with somewhere nobody knows about.
But to be fair, I know about it now. I wouldn't have known about it otherwise. Starring Jennifer Goodwin, Patrick Bateman, Idris Elba, Jenny Slate, J.K. Simmons, plus appearances from Octavia Spencer, Bonnie Hunt, Tommy Chong, Shakira, and Alan Tudyk, who, as I mentioned earlier, has had a
Career.
part of various levels in most Disney films since, I think, Frozen. And he's actually got quite a nice kind of nod to that in here, because in Frozen he plays a character called Duke Wesselton, and they make fun of him by calling him Duke Weaselton. In Zootopia, he's a weasel called Weaselton, and people keep calling him Wesselton.
He also plays the chicken in Moana.
He does indeed, yes. So it's set in an anthropomorphic world in a city that's divided by habitats, populated by animals. It's got loads of excellent animal puns and little background jokes and nods to what people think of when they think of those animals. So there's a brilliant bit where the DMV is run entirely by sloths who are incapable of moving
I use
quickly.
that gif so many times at work.
It's brilliant. It spawned a sequel that came out last year, which was also phenomenally successful. So the first Zootropolis made over $1 billion at the box office. The sequel has made just over 1.8 billion and is now the 9th best-selling film of all time. Zootropolis won the Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. Zootropolis 2 has been nominated for it this year, although probably not going to win because of K-pop Demon Hunters being such a big thing. One thing I thought might be quite fun for this one would be if I mentioned the animal puns. There's a couple of bits in particular where Judy Hopps, the main character, is cycling through some artists on her iPhone. And also Duke Weaselton has a load of bootleg Disney DVDs. So if I give you some of the real world names, can you guess what the animal pun on them might be? So,
Challenge.
the Beatles.
The Beatles.
No. I will say Zootropolis is almost entirely mammals.
The Beavertals.
Not quite. It's the Beagles. Destiny's Child. I quite like this one.
You go on this one.
I've got no idea.
Come on, have a guess.
Come on. We should be good at this. It's like, what was that? Terrible? Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child.
Destiny's Child.
No.
Any clues?
Think more, like less of a pun, more of a play on words.
We're not going to get it. No.
It's Destiny's Cub.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Fleetwood Mac.
These are harder than they should be, aren't they?
Sorry, this
Some thought this was going to be really funny.
So it's Fleetwood Yak.
Oh.
Moana.
Moana.
You're very close. Different animal.
Meowana.
Yes. Hey. Big Hero 6.
Big Herd 6, maybe?
No.
Big Hero Sloth.
No.
Badger Hero 6.
No. Badger, did you say?
B starts with B.
Pig Hero 6.
Pig Hero.
I'd watch that movie.
I'll just run through a few others rather than making you guess them. So there's also U2 with U being EWE.
Yeah. See, we would have got that one, Sam.
Catty Perry, Guns and Rodents, Fur Fighters, Hyena Gomez, Kane
He's given us all the ones we would have got.
and Mick Jaguar, and then Wrangled, Wreck-It Rhino, Meowana, Floatzin 2, not so sure about that one.
No, that was reaching that one.
Yeah.
That was the 5 p.m. on a Friday.
Interestingly, Giraffic, which is gigantic, which was a Disney film that was kind of being planned at the time, but ultimately got canned.
So you could have gone with Jurassic Park, that would have been more sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it would have worked.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it was off a string of big hits from the Disney Animation Studio at this point. So it said Frozen, Big Hero 6, quite a few bigger Disney films. And it's kind of went off a little bit, and then we went into the whole remake live action territory, but they seem to be focusing back more on animation now.
Yeah, so there was also Moana came out later on in 2016, which was huge and one of the best ones I think of that period. But they were on a really good run ever since Princess and the Frog and Tangled in particular. It was John Lasseter, I believe, had just taken over as creative controller, who's not as well liked now as he was at the time for good reasons. But did do a fantastic job of reviving the main kind of Disney animation kind of branch.
Who's taking that kind of Pixar sensibility back to Disney?
Well, it's quite weird because Pixar were having a bit of a, not slump because they had Finding Dory, but there was Good Dinosaur and a few flops around the same time.
But like, I know that like it was his obsession with Japanese media that led to AKB48 being in Wreck-It Ralph. And I was just like, okay, yeah, like the fact that I only know about this band because I went to Japan, the fact that they ended up in a Disney movie was bizarre, but...
No, but yeah, thanks, Sam. 3 good films that we believe were all worth watching, all on Disney+. And we'll probably come back and pick some films later in the year.
The Geeky Brummie podcast is presented by Ryan Parrish, featuring Sam Edwards, Lee Price and Keith Bloomfield, and special guest Dave Massey from Brumhour. The podcast is produced by Viv Parrish and is recorded at Millennium Point in the heart of Birmingham. You can follow us on all of the social medias at Geeky Brummie, and you can support the show by visiting ko-fi.com/Geeky Brummie. This was a Geeky Brummie production, and until next time, ta-ra a bit.